Entitled Dad tried to force my brother to give up his Make-A-Wish spot, by user Lopsided Gap 6819. My little brother, 15M, has a terminal illness. He was recently granted a Make-A-Wish trip. He chose to meet a famous animator and tour their studio. An entitled dad from our community group caught wind and came over just to talk. He said his own son, 14M, who has severe social anxiety, deserves a wish too and that my brother should pick something easier to share like a Disney trip. I was stunned. I explained this was his dream and his time is limited. The dad said, "But your brother's barely out of bed most days. My kid could actually enjoy it." I told him to leave and never speak to my family again. He called my mom a week later and said, "Your son has the power to make another child happy. Selfishness isn't a good legacy." My mom blocked him. My brother had the time of his life last weekend, and the animator even made a mini character of him. Screw that guy. Entitled Mom shamed me for not giving her my graduation tickets, by user top_donkey9234. I, 22F, just graduated college last month. Due to limited space, each student was only given 4 tickets. Naturally, mine went to my parents, sister, and grandma. The day before the ceremony, a friend's mom, who I barely know, messaged me on Facebook. She said, "Hey, I heard you're not inviting a boyfriend or partner. Could I have one of your extra tickets? My daughter is only allowed 2 guests." I explained, very nicely, that all my tickets were accounted for. She replied, "It's really selfish not to share. You're young, you'll graduate again, but this might be her only time." Then she added, "Think about what kind of person you want to be." I told her, I want to be someone who celebrates with the people who raised me. She left me on read. The day of graduation, I saw her sitting in the overflow livestream room. I guess no one else gave up their tickets either. Entitled Mom wants her kids to drown, by user combination 4581. This happened when I worked at a water park. The rules were very clear: children under 12 cannot go into the pools or onto slides/rides without an adult. The exemption is the family water playground where there are no pools or big slides. This mom left her kids, CA10M, CA5F, and CA3F, alone in the pool while lying on a chair in the shade, about 200 m away. The boy had a pool noodle while the younger 2 were floating with vests. One of my colleagues pointed out to her that she has to be with them. To which she replied that in her case she doesn't need to, because they are wearing the vests and can't drown, because she herself is recovering from surgery and cannot be in water. My colleague insisted that she gets her kids out of the pool. Less than 10 minutes later, the kids were again in the pool. This time I told her she has to get them out or otherwise they would have to leave. She started arguing again that her case is an exemption because of her surgery and that the kids are safe in the vests. I told her no, they are not safe. The idea of vests is not to leave toddlers alone in the water and that they could still drown. She got upset and called her husband. During which me and my colleague got her kids out of the pool and called our supervisor. When her husband arrived at the scene, he yelled at me what his wife was supposed to do since she just had abdominal surgery, that it was absurd to force her into the water. My response: maybe right now a water park is not the right destination for his wife to spend time with their children. Also, why did he not come and swim with the kids? They played the ableism card and threatened to sue us. I have a friend who works at a local television station who informed me that the family actually sent their case to be broadcast, which the TV station declined. They also had their lawyer write to the park's manager, who in return just sent the terms of use which were on display for the mom when she bought the ticket, where it is clearly indicated that under no circumstances children under 12 can be alone in the water. The manager never heard back from them. Entitled Dad demands my seat on the bus, even though I have a cane, by user emergency_cat2153. This happened 2 weeks ago. I, 28F, use a cane because of a degenerative hip condition. I was taking the bus to my physical therapy appointment when an older man with a stroller got on. There were several open seats, but he walked straight up to me and said, "You should give that to someone who needs it." I blinked and said, "Sir, I actually do." He looked at my cane and said, "Oh please. Young people love faking injuries for sympathy." I calmly told him to take one of the other seats. He then tried to lecture the whole bus about lazy youth. A woman nearby finally snapped and said, "She has a cane. Sit your self-righteous ass down or stand and deal with it." He muttered something under his breath and stomped to the back. When I got off, he glared at me like I'd kicked a baby. Sorry, not giving up my seat just to feed your ego. Stepmother is trying to hide her inviting her dad to my baby shower, by user bleepin bunny. I, 23F, am expecting my first baby with my partner, 26M, and while I should be excited, I'm instead caught in a web of family drama I didn't ask for. A bit of background, I was primarily raised by my dad after my mom passed. He remarried when I was 13 to my stepmother Mary, 53F, and our relationship has always been rocky. She's overbearing, boundary stomping, and made my teenage years hell by constantly inserting herself in ways that felt more about control than care. Worse, some serious safety boundaries were violated in my childhood. I was molested by my grandparents, and I still hold my dad and Mary partially responsible for failing to protect me. I've worked through a lot of that in therapy, but it's important context here. Mary decided to host a baby shower separate from the one being planned with my partner's side of the family and our actual friends. She insisted on it being at my dad and Mary's house, and I reluctantly agreed for the sake of peace. My dad has communicated to me so many times over the years that he wants us to be a real family, and I'm trying. Here's where it really blew up. My dad recently confided in me, and begged me not to say anything, that Mary invited her father to the shower. This is a man who is openly racist, bigoted, and hyper-religious. I've never had a good relationship with him, and she knows this. She also knows I don't want him around me, much less my future child. In fact, if you look at my post history on my profile, you'll see there was another incident regarding her involving him in my life events a couple months ago from my college graduation. She was planning to keep his attendance a secret until the day of the shower. So now I'm faced with this situation, someone who has disrespected my boundaries for years, who enabled an unsafe environment for me as a kid, is once again doing what she wants. This time, it's at an event that's supposed to be about celebrating a new life I'm bringing into the world, with all of her extended family involved, and my dad is essentially just saying, well, you know, Mary. After talking it over with my partner, we've decided that I will still attend the shower. When I see her dad there, I plan to act surprised, then pull Mary aside and calmly tell her that due to her ongoing inability to respect basic boundaries and now putting her interests above the emotional safety of me and my son, we will no longer be allowing her to be involved in our child's life beyond superficial visits. Specifically, she will not be allowed to watch him alone, or be part of his adolescence in any meaningful way. I view this as a pattern, not a one-off. I'm done gambling with our safety and emotional well-being. But my dad is upset, says it's just one afternoon, and that I'm overreacting and holding on to the past. I feel like this isn't just about the past but a continuation of the same toxic dynamic he's allowed to happen over the past decade. I just don't understand why I'm continuously expected to allow this behavior to occur in order to have a relationship with my dad, who I do genuinely care about.